let's talk about some of the companies that are red flags right now that are making you worried.
And by the way, these particular slides were for the Help Committee, right, of the Senate. I've also presented to the Senate Banking Committee, Chief Counsel and staff. I gave oral and written testimony to the U.S. Department of Labor on these very same issues. I was invited to speak to them on these issues, right? So they are concerned. Again, I am not picking on any particular company. I'm using companies that have significant examples of red flags. It's just easier to use a company that has each and every flag. I hate to do that, but this is a company. Now, will the viewer be able to see this
Yes,
slide?
they'll be able to see the slide, and
Excellent.
we're talking about Athene in this example, and it's interesting, Tom. After we first spoke, I talked to a person randomly, and they were an agent, and they were talking, and they were looking into Athene, and they were leaning towards that. And all I told them is I said, "Hey, I know they look really, really good on paper, but this is what," and I don't have any clue what ended up happening, but I want you to know that this company is not just some hobunk company that
No.
that there's a lot on this company.
It's
And
one of the biggest producers of annuities in the U.S.
yeah, I think it's very, very important that people listen to this. And if you're IMOs, if you know people that are representing this, like they not only need to understand what we're going to talk about, but they need to work with you, and we'll have a clear call to action how they
Yeah.
can get in touch with you, because you have data that everyone should be aware of, that is at least representing this, or helping clients.
I always provide the source document on every assertion I make. If you look at this slide, you can see at the top, it's Athene Annuity and Life Company. It's their most recent annual statement. The year is 2025, so it's every year end, December 31. If you look at row 28, that's the total liabilities. Column 1 is current year, so that would be 2025. Column 2 is prior year.
Sorry.
So at year-end 2024, you see that total liabilities were about $274 million.
Yes.
In 1 year, it went from 274 to more than 336 billion. In 1 year, that is a huge growth.
I hope the assets grow by just as much.
So if you look at line 38, that is the surplus buffer, 4.1 billion. And I've got to tell you that it is the most important number in any insurance company's annual statement. By the way, just for the record, Athene Annuity's year-end 2025 annual statement, one company, is more than 9,600 pages.
Wow.
9,600. And I go through those pages, So if you notice, if you do the math, if you divide surplus 4.1 by liabilities of 336.63, you're going to get 1.22%. Okay? 1.2% is the buffer for that much liability exposure. The national average at year-end 2025 was like 7.03%. So, and unfortunately, that 7.03 has been pulled down
Because
by
of
some of these larger companies having far less.
some of the bigger mutual companies are rock solid.
Huge.
What are theirs?
20 billion, 25 billion. New York Life, I think, is around 25 billion in extra buffer.
Okay. So, okay.
But more importantly, New York Life has zero of the reinsurance offshore with captives. So it's not just that they have way more surplus, they also have less red flags.
Yes.
Okay. So the fact that it's 1.2% against a national average of 7, but the more prudent traditional companies, New York Life, Teachers Insurance, the Guardian, another great mutual, the real mutuals have 15, 20, 25 billion, up as much as 20%
Surplus.
in surplus to liabilities. So at the top, I say razor thin for a reason. That's very little buffer, because if you think about it, for every asset that's on their books, if it has to be written down $1, that has to come out of surplus. So if you've got 300 billion in a lot of which is higher risk stuff, it takes very little write down to eat up that 4
Yes,
billion. You
agreed.
follow me on that?
I'm with you. One misstep is bad with these numbers.
Now, I have to beg everyone's patience with
Yep.
me here. This is complicated, but this is where I live. I literally live in Schedule S Part 3, Section 1, columns 9 and 14, and how they impact the balance sheet. This is, if you'll look where I have yellow highlighting, on the left at the upper, you'll see it says reinsurance ceded. That means transferred out of Athene Annuity into someone else. Schedule S Part 1 is reinsurance assumed. So we get to see both. What are they assuming from others and what are they ceding to others? Here's what worries me about this particular reinsurance portfolio. If you'll look, the first couple of lines are affiliates, Athene Life of New York and Structured Annuity Re. Those are a couple of regular insurance companies, but it's getting close to $1 billion. The next group, all 4 contracts are with Athene Re USA 4 in Vermont. These are those secret captives, but even that's only $1.2 billion. So the first 2.2 is not too bad. But then look at the next section. If you'll look in column 4, name of company, all of those contracts are with the same company, Athene Annuity Re Limited, and they're offshore. They're in Bermuda.
And are all of them technically second, like different entities in itself?
No,
They're all the same.
it's the same company. They're just different blocks of business
I
they've
see.
reinsured. Okay. So that section totals to $110.3 billion
Oh my goodness.
in modified coinsurance, ModCo they call it. But then look, if you go to the bottom, what company do you see there? Same Athene Annuity Re Limited. And look at that, $65.26 billion in column 9, just 2 contracts to $65 billion, and that's column 9, reserve credit taken. I want to explain that. It gives prior year and current year. Reserve credit taken current year is everything. That tells you how much has Athene Annuity subtracted from its liabilities because someone else is on the hook. Remember earlier I gave the example in a legitimate deal, you can subtract the 10 because the other company is going to set up the 10.
Correct.
Here, they've subtracted 65.25 billion just with this group, but we don't know what's on the other end. We don't know if there's 65.25 billion to cover that. But then look, you've got more ModCo, again, 5.7 billion. This one page, they have 66.5 billion in reserve credit and 116 in ModCo, all with their affiliates. Okay, but
And is it fair to say we don't know what's actually happening on there's no transparency with over $100 billion in this scenario. We have no idea how many assets they have, what it's invested in.
all we can, because this company's in Bermuda, we can get a GAAP statement, a consolidated, which does not tell you what you need to know. If you're an insurance policyholder, you need to know what Athene Annuity, how it stands on a standalone basis. And so when all of this is moved to this offshore entity, why don't the regulators require remember, this is an affiliate. So Athene in Iowa is affiliated with Athene in Bermuda. So why doesn't Athene, Iowa, why doesn't the Iowa Insurance Commissioner say, look, just because you've moved the promises there, you still need to file an annual statement?
Yeah.
Why not file in the U.S. under statutory accounting?